The cycle was rusty, broken, and covered in dust. Its tires were flat, the seat torn, and the handle crooked. No one had ridden it for years. It looked like garbage. Something you'd find thrown behind a scrapyard. But the man holding it was crying. He stood outside a small cycle repair shop, trembling. "I want to sell this," he said, barely able to speak. The repairman, Yusuf, looked up from his tools. He was surprised to see anyone still trying to sell such a worthless piece. "It's not worth anything," Yusuf said gently. But the man shook his head. "I need money. For my daughter's medicine." Yusuf stared at the broken cycle. And for some reason, his hands began to shake. Because years ago, he had seen this same cycle. And the man who owned it had once saved his life. Story. Yusuf wasn't a rich man. He had a tiny cycle repair shop at the corner of a dusty street in a poor neighborhood. Every morning, he opened the shutters, cleaned his old tools, and waited for customers. Sometimes, he fixed punctures for school kids. Sometimes, he straightened bent wheels for old men. Most of the time, he just sat alone, drinking chai and staring at the road. But that day, something strange happened. A man walked in carrying a cycle that looked like it had been through a storm. It was old, broken in every possible way. One pedal was missing, the chain was hanging loose. And both wheels wobbled like jelly. Yusuf was about to tell him to take it to the junkyard, when he looked at the man's eyes. They were red. Not from sleep, but from pain. The man's clothes were old. His shirt had holes. His sandals were worn out. But he held that cycle like it was made of gold. "I want to sell this," he said again. "Please." Yusuf raised an eyebrow. "It's not worth anything, brother. It'll cost more to repair than to buy a new one." The man looked down. "My daughter is sick. I need 300 rupees for her medicine." I thought, maybe this cycle. Yusuf felt something inside him tighten. Not because of the story, but because he recognized that cycle. It was bent now. Rusted. But once upon a time, it had been bright blue. Shiny. Fast. He remembered it clearly because 10 years ago, he had seen that very cycle run over his foot. And the man riding it had taken him to the hospital. That man was the one standing in front of him now. "You saved me," Yusuf whispered. The man looked up, confused. "What?" Yusuf stepped closer. 10 years ago, I was bleeding on the road. Hit by a bike. Everyone just stared. But you picked me up and put me on your cycle." The man's eyes widened. "You remember that?" "I never forgot." Yusuf's voice shook now. "That day, if you hadn't helped me, I would have lost my leg. Maybe even died." The man didn't speak. His hands gripped a rusty handle of the cycle tightly. Yusuf walked inside his shop, opened the drawer, and pulled out a small envelope. He placed 500 rupees on the table. "Take this." The man froze. "But I only need 300. This is for the medicine. And for the day you didn't ask for anything in return." The man's lips trembled. He stepped forward, trying to return the money. But Yusuf stopped him. "Wait." He walked back to the broken cycle and ran his hands over the frame. Beneath the dirt and rust, he could still see the faded blue paint. "I want to fix this," Yusuf said softly. "But it's useless," the man said. "No," Yusuf replied. "It carried you when you helped me. And now, it'll carry your daughter when she's well again." So Yusuf worked. For 3 days, he stayed late in his shop. He cleaned every part. He replaced the tires, straightened the frame, and painted it fresh blue. He oiled the chain until it ran smooth like butter. He even stitched a new seat with his own hands. When he was done, the cycle looked brand new. The man returned with tears in his eyes. "I don't know what to say," he whispered. Yusuf smiled. "Don't say anything. Just take your daughter for a ride when she gets better." And he did. Weeks later, a little girl with bright eyes and 2 ponytails sat on the back seat of that blue cycle, laughing as her father pedaled through the street. And Yusuf watched from his shop, heartful. Moral: sometimes the things we throw away carry the most powerful stories. And sometimes the smallest act of kindness returns when we least expect it. Even a broken cycle can carry a miracle.